let's talk about making things easier for ourselves. Let's get it. Upward spiral gang.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there guys, how's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy. I'm a flow state coach, which means I help you feel better and perform better. Let me sit down right here next to my friend, the Buddha, and talk to you guys about making life a much easier, okay? So, how can we make our lives a lot easier? One of the first principles that I'd learned is the art of familiarity, okay? When we are at a level that things are familiar to us, it's second nature to us. It's natural to us. It's organic, right? Like if you've done something 100 times, it's just familiar to you. You know the process by now. Then if you're to do it for the first time. So what if you had the mentality that you've done something 100 times and you're about to do something for the first time? Let's say you're about to go into an interview room or meet someone for the first time or do some kind of event. You're talking to hundreds of people. What if you could have that same energy that you're just talking to a bunch of friends in the living room on stage in front of a massive amphitheater audience? So this is what I'm talking about in terms of the flow state, okay? Making things easier is all about adding ease and coming from the mentality of familiarity, which means that, hey, I've been here before, I know these people from 7 years back, even if they're complete strangers. So yes, this might be a mental trick or mental finesse, you could say, where you convince yourself that you've been at the job longer than you have, or you're at the interview like you already work there, or taking on this mentality that you already have it, it's already yours. And that's going to add a sense of effortlessness to the process, because isn't that what flow state is? It's all about that effortlessness. But the effortlessness comes from a sense of mastery. Like you've been there before, you know what it's about. To go into a situation that is unknown with the mentality that I've been here before is going to change that experience for you, hands down. You're going to respond very differently to that experience. It is up to you now to change the old patterns around of struggle, of adding pressure, and all these different things, right? I believe Josh Bailey was also asking me about brain damage, okay? Or any kind of neurodegenerative disease or something like where, you know, our brain really starts to suffer as a byproduct, you know? And yes, there are a lot of studies for this. Sometimes there's traumatic brain injuries that you can't come back from, but what you can do is you can still heal and you can still recover, and your consciousness comes back within a year, like 60 to 90% stronger, right? So one thing to really protect your brain is to be able to get yourself into activities that are engaging in using your brain. A lot of the times we stop using our brain. But really though, in our old age, we stop using our brain. You notice the people who are doing crossword puzzles, Sudoku, you know, and playing bingo. Why do old people play bingo, man? Have you ever thought about this? They're still optimizing and using their brain. They're keeping those brain cells churning alive. Neuroplasticity is what you want to attain, which means using your brain, okay? So to make things easier for us, we also must understand that we have to get that neuroplasticity. We're going to have to do things to actively get us to use our brain. This could be happening through an app on your phone. It could be doing mental math. It could be, you know, rehearsing different things in your mind, like song lyrics, testing your own memory out, you know, brain training. There's different kinds of brain training out there, different brain games that you can download and play. And just doing brain gym activities of just like, you know, putting two fingers together, or even like, you know, crossing your arms and twisting them and things like this, which you're using both hemispheres and things along this line. So keeping your brain alive and their brain power alive alongside the mindset, which you talked about, the mindset of recovery. So when you're thinking about the mindset of recovery and you want the process to be easy for you, you understand that, hey, there's not something that I'm trying to fix. This is something that I'm healing. Okay? So if you constantly remind yourself of your illness, guess what? You're going to be more ill. But if you think that every single day I'm healing, I'm getting better, I'm getting strong, and the symptoms that you're getting, to reframe the symptoms, okay? Because sometimes our brain can go against us, right? It can cause illusions that are not there. It can cause, cognitive distortions start to happen when we start to get into a lower mood or a mental health that isn't purely functioning. Getting into conversation with others is going to be very, very important. Why? Because we're getting perspectives from others. Not only that, their wealth of experience is mixing with our wealth of experience. Because you're processing through talking about it, specifically out loud, it's much more clear. The thoughts that you're holding inside and harboring aren't really going to help you. But if you're keeping a journal or talking to people about your process and about the healing, now you can have measurable progress. The thing that you most want to focus on is healing, compassion, self-love, these things, right, that people tell you. That's the most important thing for recovery, is that serotonin and that oxytocin, which is happening. And this is also happening from deep sleep and an ability for you to regenerate and replenish your energy and not burn out, and catching the symptoms of burnout, right? Or going too far off the ledge of just like over pushing yourself, right? Dr. Joe Dispenza could see each of his vertebrates healing in his own mind, and actually him going through that process so much, his body knew what it needed to do in order to heal, right? And you won't just hear this from me, but you'll hear it from people who, like people like Miracle J. He got hit by a car. He was in a coma, right? He was in a coma for a long time, and for a week, I think, and then he just came out of it, and he was they told him he couldn't walk and talk again. But now he's walking and talking, and he's doing push-ups, he's doing all these things again. One side of his whole body got, injured and chipped away. And however, he still has the mentality, the power, the presence to show up and have that power to keep doing it, right? Now there's an article in the LA Tribune about that. So congratulations, brother, if you're watching this. But yeah, man, these stories, they're inspiring, you know what I mean? So we have to meet with those people who have done it already and understand what are their patterns, what are their pathways and mentalities to really recovering and giving themselves the strength. Because I believe that stoicism is a powerful mentality. I believe that getting up each day and fine-tuning your purpose is a very important mentality. So find things that you're genuinely interested in exploring. Like if you don't like crosswords, don't do crosswords. You know what I mean? This is very basic kind of stuff. If you are more of a math person, you like numbers, find something of a practice that is around math that you can keep doing. Like for instance, I like freestyle rap, and I'll be doing that till my late 80s, 90s probably. I'll keep my brain activated through doing that, because that's one practice I could do anytime, anywhere. So you want to find a practice where you're doing it anytime and anywhere, okay? Something along these lines. You don't want to be like, oh man, I'm missing my skateboard, so I can't do it. You don't want something like this, right? You want something that you can carry with you anytime, anywhere. This is why I love freestyle rap, because it's such a powerful way you can tap into that strength anytime, anywhere. And people might judge you and look at you funny and oh, that guy's rapping, or he's trying to. That's besides the point. This is a skill set you can carry with you. This is a part of your character. This is a part of your expression. This is a part of your subconscious mind fluttering out through Freudian slips. So that's why I'm saying it's so important to have a certain practice where you're like, hey, even if it's not rap, right? What if you could just write poetry, like freestyle poetry, or freestyle, writing a song, or like a pop song, or freestyle just like spoken word. You don't need to necessarily go the rap route if that's not your vibe. What is it that works for you? And what is the Eulerian destiny? What is the path of least resistance for you? Once you can figure out that path, and hey, there's many questions you can ask yourself to find out your Eulerian destiny. Just like, what do you like talking about? That's just like effortless to you, right? What topic could you give a TED talk on for hours and hours and you just didn't even need to prepare? Like, what is that topic for you, right? The second thing would be like, okay, what have you been doing for the last 5 to 10 years? right? How have you been making money? How have you been spending your time? What have you been learning? Then what do complete strangers say about you? Like if they were to meet you for the first time, what would they even say about you, right? How would they perceive you? What would they think about you? Those things, right? And the last and final question for the Eulerian destiny to ask yourself is, what did I grow up around? What was my environment like? What were the people like? What were the experiences that I had from my childhood, from my youth, from growing up in my teenage years? Like, what did I experience? What did I grow up around? What was natural to me there, right? And once you have these 4 pieces and you try to find an overlap of all of them, you'll get closer to your Eulerian destiny. And that will make your process and this journey a lot easier for you. Because a lot of us, man, we make this so hard for ourselves, right? We add more obstacles in the way. We add more difficulty to ourselves. We just stress out over subjects that, like, you know, maybe we're forced into a situation that we don't want to be, right? I understand that. That takes a lot of effort to get yourself out of something like this, like the brain injury, as you mentioned. However, the thing about it is you want to have this mentality of amor fati, meaning I chose this reality. I love my fate. I love my fate. No matter what happens to me, I decide that I created this, consciously or unconsciously. It's there. And I got to deal with it. I have this specific deck of cards. I have this resourcefulness at my disposal. So how am I going to use these different tasks, these different things? I use that Bruce Lee mentality for my healing, where I'm absorbing what resonates. I'm not doing these fringe therapies or like these random rituals just because I heard it online and it's got good reviews or something, right? I'm doing what resonates with me, with my heart and my soul and my body. It knows the answers. I've got to look internally, I've got to look within, and I've got to figure out what are the things that my subconscious mind is pulling. My higher self has the answers of my own healing. It knows what I need to do next very naturally. I don't need to, like, of course I can go to a doctor and have it checked out, but if he gives you a life-threatening illness, guess what? You're stuck with that label. And now that label is actually limiting your potential now. And you're thinking, oh no, whatever I do, no, I'm stuck with these parameters or these boundaries. They told Miracle J he wouldn't make it. He wouldn't walk again. Well, guess what? He's walking again. Right? He was in a wheelchair for a while, but now he's walking. So that's the thing, right? Just because somebody tells you something, oftentimes that becomes the limit, the cage around our potential, the story we tell ourselves. So how are you telling the story to yourself around your healing? Is it that the comeback is stronger than the setback? Is that the story that you're telling yourself? Is it the fact that, no, I'm going to use this time right now and have a spiritual awakening and come back so strong that people will look at me and be like, who is this person? I don't even recognize them. Is that something that inspires you in your own storyline? Really ask yourself, right? Because that is how you're going to go towards that ease and effortlessness. When everything is according to the plan, the grand scheme, the grand vision, which you don't have any idea what it's going to be. The universe or God has that idea, right, of what that's going to be. And so all you can do is just surrender to that process and be like, hey, I trust it. I know it's all going to work out in the end. That is the best mentality that I could give you in terms of recovery and healing, because that's the only one that there is, of just being able to be patient and willing to go through that process of really learning about what's happening and taking each day one step at a time through the process of self-awareness and really knowing yourself. Who are you? You can understand different ways to heal. That is going to be so profound, you're going to save yourself years of a learning curve. And also to reach out to the people who've done it already, Definitely reach out to the people who have gone through the process already and are doing it. They've gone through that rabbit hole of dealing with the mental chains that they had to break through. Maybe I've been through a few traumas that have blocked out my memory or something like this. Maybe I've been told in school that, oh, you're dumb or you can't do it, you're not good enough, from certain teachers. All of these little mini traumas, they don't mean anything because now I've rewritten those storylines, right? I wasn't meant to thrive in a school with my math teacher. Like, that's not a storyline that I want to tell myself. Because I was this really great mathematician that I was here to... No, that's not in my storyline, bro. So that's the thing. You have to build the storyline to the easiest, most natural, effortless process that you can. Eulerian destiny will help you get there if you really clarify that. However, there are other ways that you can make things a lot easier for yourself. Stop adding so many layers and boundaries and constraints and like, oh, I have to do it like this, or it must be according to my plan like this, and oh, it has to be this specific. Stop being so rigid. Stop being so rigid with your healing process. You got to allow, you've got to breathe, you've got to give yourself time and space so that surprises can happen, spontaneous healing can happen. You see what I'm saying? So, hey, I said a lot in this video. I hope this helps you out today. Have an incredible day. May the flow be with you and stay legendary. Let's get it today.